Far north of the Arctic Circle along Norway's jagged coastline lies Fjordland. It is a place of ice-scoured rock-black fjords and absolute silence, broken only by groaning glaciers. Sami elders call it Glacier Golba, the ice bull's dominion. Here beneath a colossal nameless glacier lies Station Borealis 7. Abandoned since its 8-person crew vanished in 1997. Official records cite an icefall, but whispers persist of the singing ice and something far older, far hungrier. This story follows Dr. Lineia Nilson, a 36-year-old glaciologist from Uppsala. Lineia pursued extremophile life and ancient ice secrets. Borealis 7 was her obsession. Corrupted data logs hinted Borealis 7 had drilled into an unprecedentedly deep ice vein untouched for millennia. Lineia knew the official story was a lie. She never intended for her expedition to become a rescue mission. She certainly never intended to hear the ancient echoes for herself. Fragments of her mission, her unraveling, survived on her probe's memory, her suit recorder, and a final ice-encased data beacon. The first sign of wrongness was an impossible silence. Lineia deploying her. Radar across the glacier noticed the wind died. The vast Arctic quiet was replaced by an absence of sound. No suit creaks, no boot crunch, no glacier rumble. Just an unsettling pressure in her ears. She recorded May 19th, 10:48 a.m. Approaching Borealis 7. Unnervingly quiet. Magnetic field spiking. Might be deep core samples. She pushed on. Hours later, radar pinpointed Borealis 7. She started her drill, its whine jarring the profound quiet. As it bit deeper, ear pressure sharpened into a piercing throb. Then she heard it. A vibration. A frequency so low, it resonated through the ice. Into her bones. A rhythmic pulse, a deep resonant thrum, like a colossal alien cello. It was not the station. It was within the glacier itself, from ancient ice below. She activated her suit's audio receptors. The thrumming intensified, joined by faint, imperceptible harmonics. A complex, wordless cadence. It was a song. A monstrous ancient song sung by the ice. Her scientific detachment cracked. The ice, it is singing. A frequency I have never encountered. Coming from deep, deep within. Feels resonant. Picking up a biomagnetic signature. Impossible. What kind of life exists here? The song grew louder. Intricate. Braiding into a symphony that spoke directly into her mind, bypassing her ears. Cold. Hungry. Within its melody, Lineia perceived patterns. Familiar like forgotten memories. Then from the depths of the ice shaft, she saw it. Not a creature. Not an object. A light. A deep azure glow. Pulsing with the song's rhythm. Organic. Bioluminescent. Hypnotic. The pressure in her head became unbearable. The song a deafening roar. Through the light, she thought she saw vast, indistinct shapes forming, moving within the ancient ice, reaching out, beckoning. The drill snagged. A muffled crack. The light pulsed brighter. The song changed. Faster, desperate, as if something was waking or calling. And then she felt it. A pull, magnetic, irresistible, from the azure light, from the singing ice itself, gently but firmly, tugging her, urging her to descend, to join the chorus, to become another echo. Lineia fought it. Every instinct screamed to run, but the pull was too strong, too insidious. Not just physical, but mental. A promise of profound discovery. Her hand against her will reached for her harness release. Her body moved, leaning towards the hole. The thrumming intensified. Warning. Lights flashed. None of it mattered. The azure light pulsed. A vast silent eye looking up, and the song in her head became a clear directive. Come, listen. She fumbled for her suit recorder, activating the emergency beacon. This is Dr. Lineia Nilson. Above anomaly, the ice is sentient. Light source non-terrestrial. Pulling me in. I do not think I can stop it. Borealis 7 transmissions about this. Her voice trailed, a gasp escaping as the pull intensified. Her safety tether snapped. She fell. The descent was gentle, cushioned by ice pressure. The azure light below swelled, bathing her. Walls rippled with organic patterns. Embedded in ancient ice layers, she saw vast shadowy shapes. Colossal limbs, segmented bodies, indistinct yet biological, pulsing faintly with azure light. The song became a crescendo, 1,000 voices merging, filling her with aching longing, profound sadness, exhilarating terror. Her feet landed on, yielding solid. She was at the shaft bottom, in a chamber carved from living ice, illuminated by azure light from the floor. Air breathable, heavy, metallic, thrumming in her bones. The song deafening. Directly ahead, the ice opened into a vast tunnel, and there, partially visible through pulsing light, was a structure. Metallic, dark, covered in shimmering crystalline growths. Part of Station Borealis 7. Twisted, rent apart, scorch marks, tunnels torn through its walls. Her suit gauge plummeted. Impossible cold, yet she felt no cold. Only the pull, the song, immense, suffocating presence. The azure light intensified, concentrating into a blinding core at the tunnel's end. From that core, the song vibrated with new urgency. Linneia's scientific mind reeled. This was vast, ancient, alien, a conscious entity, communicating through resonance, slumbering for eons. Borealis 7 had awakened it. The singing was its way of sensing, reaching, consuming. The ice ball's dominion was truth. She took a hesitant step into the tunnel. Suit lights flickered. Air grew heavier. Remnants of Borealis 7 clearer. Equipment scattered. A broken drill arm. Shattered comms panel. And then the bodies. Not whole. Dark. Frozen husks. Contorted. Eyes wide. Vacant. Reflecting azure light. Desiccated. Drained. A sharp note cut through the song. A discordant shriek. Azure light pulsed violently. Shapes embedded in ice walls seemed to shift. Something, vast and unseen, moving, pressing its prison. Lineia instinctively backed away. Foot slipping, she activated her camera, pointing blindly. "It is here," she gasped. Whatever it is in the ice took them. Crew mummified, drained, song louder, changing, trying to consume. Azure light flared, throwing monstrous shadows across bodies. Grotesque distortions in ice. Glimpses of things defying biology. Too many limbs, eyes, forms that writhed. Reflections of the entity. Then she heard it, separate from the song. A faint, desperate whisper from a mummified crew member. Fragmented, distorted, human. "Help us, it is listening." The voice thin, reedy, full of agony. Lineia stared, mouth agape, eyes boring into her. Whisper came again, louder, from body and ice. The song, it changes you, it takes you. Intense vibration shook chamber. Cracks spider-webbed. Song swelled to unbearable roar. Cacophony of shrieks and groans. Lineia stumbled, dropping camera. Light pulsed. Blinding, the pull became violent, dragging her deeper into tunnel, towards blinding azure core. Shapes in. Ice writhed, ready to break free. She felt her mind fraying. Song weaving into her thoughts, changing her. This was encounter with primordial. Lineia was on the menu. The pull was absolute. Lineia slid across the icy floor, body unresponsive, dragged towards the pulsating azure core. Borealis 7 remnants and mummified crew blurred past. A shriek in the ice, a physical blow, filled her mind with unidentifiable data. Images flickered. Vast, indistinct primordial forms moving in liquid light. Too massive, too ancient to possess. Her suit cones crackled, then died. The emergency beacon's steady red could not transmit. Cold seeped in, a pervasive nullity extracting. Warmth. The azure light grew blinding, burning through her eyelids, painting her mind with its glow. The song ceased to be external. It was internal, twisting her thoughts, blurring her identity with a vast, cold consciousness. Just as she was pulled into the blinding light, the dragging stopped. She lay prone, gasping, her eyes fluttered open. She was in an enormous, cavernous space. Walls, ceiling, floor were translucent obsidian, like pulsing with internal azure light, shifting, rippling like a living membrane. This was the core chamber of the glacier, where the entity resided. In the center, suspended, was the source. A geometric impossibility, a shifting kaleidoscope of azure, light, and shadow. Crystalline segments constantly reconfiguring. Each shift a surge in the glacial song. Beautiful, terrifying, like a frozen star. Lineia's mind screamed in defiance. But her primal self registered overwhelming otherness. Not of earth, something fallen or grown, trapped beneath eons of ice. As she stared, the singing became more articulate. Not words, but concepts, images, emotions. Loneliness, unimaginable antiquity, a hunger spanning epochs, a need to absorb, integrate, become whole, not malice, but vast indifference. The entity simply was, and its being involved assimilation. Humans with their complex bioelectrical impulses, their vibrant life forces were tantalizing harmonics. Suddenly smaller localized azure. Pulses erupted from the crystalline structure. They detached, drifting towards the mummified Borealis 7 remains near the entrance. As motes touched husks, horrifying reanimation began. Frozen muscle contracted. Joints creaked. Empty eye sockets of one corpse, a man glowed with azure light, reflecting the entity. A gurgling sound escaped its throat. Lineia recoiled, scrambling. Backward. No. Stay back. She screamed, a pathetic whisper. But the reanimated forms, puppets of the entity, began to rise. Movements jerky. They shambled towards the core. Crystalline growths on their bodies pulsed with azure light. Like living veins, the entity was not merely draining. It was integrating them, making them extensions. The whispers Lineia heard in the tunnel, "Help us, it is listening," now echoed with horrifying clarity. A final plea from minds consumed. One reanimated figure, a woman, turned its head with a sickening crunch. glowing eyes fixed on Lineia. The gurgle became a chorus, joined by others, a distorted, echoing imitation of the song, horrifyingly almost human. The glacial cold intensified. Around them, radiating from them, Lineia's suit registered drastic internal temperature drop. This was the true cold of the entity, a cold that nullified life. She knew with horrifying certainty this was the Borealis 7 crew's fate. Not death, but absorption. Consciousness essence, part of the entity's song. Bodies conduits. The entity was not just in the ice. It was the ice. A colossal living intelligence. The singing was its way of sensing, reaching, consuming. Desperate Lineia fumbled for her ice pick, fingers stiff. How do you fight a song? A light, a cold, a living glacier. The reanimated husks shambled closer, movements gaining grotesque fluidity as more azure motes attached, weaving luminous webs. Their gurgling chorus grew louder, a hungry crescendo. A new, stronger burst of azure light from the entity. The song in Lineia's mind shifted. Cacophony receded, replaced by a clear, resonant voice, not spoken but felt. Direct thought transfer. Ancient, vast, utterly indifferent. You resonate. You harmonize. You will become part of the chorus. Not threatening, but stating a fact. Stripping away will, fear, replacing them with chilling acceptance. Her consciousness, her life force, gently, inexorably, pulled from her body. She forced herself to crawl backward, bumped into something metallic, a less damaged section of Borealis 7, perhaps the command module. Its main hatch twisted and open, led into a cramped, frozen interior. Data. If she could reach the central data core, find out what they discovered. Maybe a way to fight back, or a final warning. But reanimated husks were almost upon her, their movements faster, purposeful. The woman's crystalline-veined hand reached out. Lineia felt the incredible cold from its touch before contact. Entity's voice echoed, a gentle, inescapable command. Join us. Complete the harmony. With a surge of desperate defiance, Lineia rolled as the hand swiped past. She clawed at the open hatch, squeezed through, slammed the twisted hatch shut. Metal groaning, thin barrier. Momentary reprieve, a tiny bubble of relative silence against the roaring song. Inside, chaos of frozen equipment, broken screens, but at center glowing with faint emergency light. The main console, data ports partially intact, her last hope. What secrets lie within the data core of Station Borealis 7? Can Lineia find a weapon, a weakness, or merely a final chilling understanding of the entity's true nature, before she too becomes a note in its terrifying, unending song? The thin metal of the command module offered Lineia a fragile safety. Outside, the entity's azure light pulsed. Reanimated Borealis 7 husks, now grotesquely crystalline, scraped the hull. The song in her mind remained deafening, a vast ancient symphony pressing against her skull, attempting to dismantle her thoughts. She scrambled to the main console, her suit lights cutting through the gloom. Air was frigid, stagnant, with ozone and desperation. Trembling fingers fumbled. Data cables connecting to the module server. The screen flickered green. Corrupted, chaotic data filled the display. This was her last chance. May 19th, 1:17 p.m., she whispered into her recorder. Inside Borealis 7 module. Entity trying to breach. Crew reanimated. Accessing data logs. If there is a counter, it is here. The song it is in my head. It is persuasive. Promises understanding. Unity. She shook her head. No. Focus. Data transfer was agonizingly slow. Corrupted files filled directories. Then files appeared. Audio log 19,970,115. Drill anomaly scan. 1. Protocol Omega last stand. Her heart pounded. These were Borealis 7's last moments. She prioritized audio logs. The first log crackled. A male voice calm, then strained. January 15th, 1997. Dr. Erickson. Deep ice core retrieval. Penetrated layer Omega. Beyond bedrock. Readings unprecedented. Strong electromagnetic fluctuations. Unidentified resonance at 2.7 kilometers. Not geological. Patterned. A low hum. Lineia felt cold dread. The screen showed Borealis 7 drill schematics. Red indicator pulsed at the deep core probe. The drill had become a tuning fork. Pulling the song up. Second audio log played. Hum intensified. New faint melodies. Erickson's voice laced with fear. The ice, it is singing. In our heads. Beautiful. Terrifying. Draining power. Losing environmental controls. Ice around shaft glowing azure. A gasp. Then pull the drill. Retract. Now. Recording ended abruptly with white noise and a horrifying shriek. The same Lineia had heard. A module vibrated. Violently. A sickening rumble. Outside, azure light intensified. Pressing against the viewport. Reanimated husks pushed against the hull. Mouths forming silent O-shapes. Lineia felt a tremor in the floor. The module was being drawn towards the core. She clicked Drill Anomaly Scan 001. Geological scan filled screen. At deepest point passed. Bedrock, a colossal unidentifiable mass, pulsed red. Kilometers vast. Impossibly ancient. The entity. Energy readings spiked. Forming neural patterns. A colossal living thinking being. The drill had hit a vein. A conduit for the song. New log. A corrupted video. Grainy footage of Borealis 7 control room. Panicked faces. Blinking red lights. Viewport showed azure light. Figures pressed against hull. Camera dropped. Last image. Crew member. Eyes wide. Backed into corner. A shimmering tentacular appendage of azure light pulsing into the module. Reaching. Footage froze. Lineia gasped. Not just absorption, but physical contact. The entity could manifest. Fear overwhelming. The whispers returned. It is listening. It was consuming life. Piece by piece, she forced herself to breathe, to push panic down, find a counter. Protocol Omega. She navigated corrupted directories, fingers flying. Hands scraped louder outside. Thump on hull. They were finding purchase. Protocol Omega last stand. Encrypted text. She launched decryption. Praying. As the bar filled, she opened a frantic message log from Dr. Aries Thorne, lead bioengineer. Entity communicates through resonant frequency. Bioelectrical signature. Seeks full coherent harmonic. Counter frequency. Cacophony of disharmony. Might disrupt or annoy. Message ended. Power failing. Initiating Omega. God have mercy. A counter frequency. Her mind raced. What could produce such a thing? Decryption stalled at 98%. Access denied. Core overload. External energy surges. Too strong. Entity was fighting her. It knew. Module rocked violently. Metal groaned. Hull near viewport buckled. Crystalline fissures spreading. Azure light streamed in. Wave of crushing cold. Overwhelming song. Lineia scrambled back. Crystalline hand of woman pushed through metal. Other hands followed. Glowing eyes fixed on Lineia. Guttural rattling chorus filled module. A promise of absorption. Panic. Trapped. No time to decrypt. She was moments from becoming another husk. Her eyes darted. A shattered containment unit. Inside tangled wires. A high-frequency sonic emitter. Prototype for micro-fracturing ice. Small. Powered by volatile energy cell. Meant for precision, not fighting. But it was sound. Discord. Crystalline hands reached deeper. Movements faster. Purposeful. Cold radiated. Absolute. Entity's song pulsed. Overwhelming will. Whispering promises of peace. Unity. Consciousness unwinding. Desperate. Primal defiance. Lineia snatched the sonic emitter. It hummed, her only chance. She pointed it at the breach, at the glowing, grasping hands, at the blinding azure light that was the entity. Took a deep, shuddering breath. What will happen when Lineia unleashes? The sonic emitter against the entity. Will a scientific tool disrupt a force that consumed crews? Or will her defiance only hasten her horrifying assimilation into the glacial song? The sonic emitter thrummed in Lineia's grasp. A fragile defiance against the entity. Outside, the azure light pulsed, mirroring the song in her mind. Reanimated husks, crystalline and glowing, pressed hard against the module. Their gurgling chorus. Rising, Lineia screamed, activating the emitter. A piercing high-frequency shriek tore through the module, violently countering the glacial song. Lineia felt agonizing pain. The module vibrated, but the effect on the entity was immediate. The azure light outside flickered, convulsing. The vast song in Lineia's mind fractured into chaos. Reanimated husks recoiled, forms spasming, letting out a unified, piercing wail of pain. Their cold diminished, glow dimmed. They stumbled disoriented. It is working, Lineia gasped, pushing the emitter to maximum despite feedback. Her head pounded, vision swam. The entity's momentary retreat fueled her. A colossal crystalline structure at the core thrashed, geometric forms collapsing and reforming violently. Azure light flared and dimmed. Ice walls groaned, fissures appearing. The overwhelming pull weakened, replaced by violent tremors shaking the module. A low guttural growl emerged from the fractured song, pure ancient rage, building to a deafening roar. Reanimated husks, though disoriented, moved again, drawn by rage. Their movements jerky, desperate, violent. They slammed crystalline fists against the hull, gurgling screams now furious. Lineia knew the emitter's energy was draining rapidly. Feedback tore at her nervous system. She needed to escape. Now, she glanced at the damaged console. Decryption for Protocol Omega Last Stand flickered at 99%. If she could get that last data. But the module shook violently. Husks grew louder, closer. I need to get out, she yelled. Emitter failing, draining too fast. It is too strong. She blasted the emitter at a large crack. A crystalline hand recoiled. With a shriek, her moment, she launched herself through the narrow opening, scrambling out of the module and back into the vast luminous core chamber. Chaos. The chamber once terrifyingly ordered was a maelstrom of light and sound. The colossal crystalline entity thrashed, forms collapsing and reforming, waves of overwhelming, azure light painful to her vision. The ground shook constantly, tremors signaling the entity's agony and rage. The deafening sonic assault from her emitter, now silent, combined with the entity's roars, created a maelstrom. Reanimated husks damaged, but regaining coordination converged on her. Drawn by rage, faster, erratic, glowing eyes burning with hunger. They were extensions of a wounded predator. Entity's thoughts screamed in her mind. Silence. You will be absorbed. Lineia stumbled backward, desperately keeping the emitter, now useless, pointed. Her only path, the drill shaft, impossibly far. Walls of the chamber cracking, revealing darker layers of rock. Vast forms embedded, twisting in sympathy. She fired, the defunct emitter in desperate bursts. Buying seconds. She sidestepped a lunging husk. Air crackled. Suit warnings screamed. Pressure dropping. Power at 5%. External temp plummeting. Cold was physical force. Stripping heat. As she sprinted towards the drill shaft, a colossal fracture ripped through the floor between her and the shaft. A pit of churning, blinding azure light. A wave of profound mind, emming cold, blasted upwards, carrying a new, deeper frequency of the entity's song, vibrating in her chest. Reanimated husks paused, forms flickering. Lineia realized the entity was tearing itself apart in rage, or revealing its scale. The pit was a glimpse into its vast cosmic consciousness, and it was attempting to swallow her. She forced her legs to move, circling the abyss, searching for a path. Suddenly, a massive tentacular limb of solidified azure light bristling, with crystals erupted from the chasm, moving with impossible speed, arcing towards her, its tip glowing intensely. A direct physical manifestation. It would crush her or assimilate her. With no other option, Lineia screamed, bringing the now useless sonic emitter up. She aimed it at the limb and unleashed a final desperate burst of pure, unadulterated discord. The emitter pushed beyond limits, crackled, sparked, glowed incandescently. The limb flinched, convulsing, its azure light flickering. A high-pitched, almost human shriek echoed, then a dull explosion as the emitter blew apart, showering her with fragments. The shriek and sudden silence were deafening. The azure limb paused, hovering inches from her face. The entity's song, though raging, was momentarily disarrayed. This was her chance. With last strength, Lineia turned, flinging herself towards the drill shaft, praying momentum would carry her across the chasm. Will Lineia make it into the drill shaft? Or will the enraged entity drag her into the abyss? Has her desperate attack merely delayed the inevitable? Or has she truly wounded something ancient and terrible?